Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my new Marvel Ben Affleck video. There's a big announcement about Marvel bringing him on for a big villain role in the MCU. So obviously, big announcement, Ben Affleck coming back to Marvel. And everybody's wondering if he'd ever come back as his version of Daredevil because we have Avengers 6 Secret Wars coming, and that's going to be a big multiverse movie with a bunch of cameos from old movies. Like the Fox Marvel movies, you also have Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield coming back from the Sony Spider-Man movies. But the character that they want him for is very different than anything he's ever played in any of the Marvel or the DC movies, so I'll explain what's going on. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos, because as I'm posting this, it's towards the end of the year. We're getting ready for a bunch of really big Marvel Phase 5 stuff to debut in 2023. It is the beginning of Marvel Phase 5. We will get a couple big new trailers after the New Year's, just because of the big celebration. So you may have seen that Marvel is trying to get Ben Affleck as Dario Agger in the Marvel Phase 5 movies. It's not for Thor 5, even though Dario Agger is typically associated with the Thor characters. He showed up in one of his biggest stories during a Thor comic book. That was actually part of the Jane Foster Mighty Thor comics set right after her initial debut in the comics a couple of years ago, also after the Gore the God Butcher storyline. But right now, Jane Foster is dead, and they're not bringing her right back anytime soon. And they're not planning on doing Thor 5 during Marvel Phase 5 at least, even though Chris Hemsworth has said that he will do Thor 5. He's coming back for more Marvel movies, but the tone of Thor 5 will be radically different from Thor Love and Thunder. It won't be as comedic as what Taika Waititi did with the movie, and he's also probably not going to come back and direct Thor 5. It'll probably be somebody totally different. It's for a totally different movie. I'll explain which in a second. Dario Agger, mostly known as the head of Roxxon, a natural resources company called Roxxon Energy. It's been referenced a billion times across a bunch of Marvel movies and a bunch of Marvel TV shows.
Before the war, there were only 3 refineries capable of something like this.
Navy tore down Franklin Chemical, and Eagle Star converted to diesel, so that only leaves...
Roxxon.
Right.
This has to be 200 acres?
You've probably seen it mentioned in the background on some sign of some building somewhere in one of the TV series or the movies. Even as far back as the Agent Carter series, set during the 1940s, 1950s. They even reference them as recently as the She-Hulk series on one of the gas stations. They're one of the many evil corporations inside the Marvel Universe that are trying to exploit as many natural resources as possible, like oil, gas, precious metals, diamonds, gold, semiconductors, all that kind of stuff. Even though the director of Ant-Man 3 Quantumania said they weren't going to completely pay off that Sonny Burch Easter egg from Ant-Man and the Wasp, where he said that he wanted quantum energy for a mysterious quote-unquote buyer with billions of dollars to spend. That's part of something completely separate that they'll pay off in a different movie. Dario Agger, Roxxon would be one of the companies with billions of dollars like that to spend and want quantum energy as well. So they basically try to do anything they can to mine every precious resource on this planet or any other planet outside of Earth. During the Eternals movie, Cersei also made sure to leave a giant stone celestial, Tiamat, in the Indian Ocean, and it's bristling with cosmic energy, advanced cosmic metals, all kinds of resources that planet Earth doesn't either know about yet or knew about and are super rare just because of the way celestials' bodies work. It is like the new biggest natural resource on planet Earth, ripe for the taking. Everybody with any kind of interest in that is looking for it in Marvel Phase 5. It's a bigger plot point during Marvel Phase 5 just in general. Finally going to see them do something with that giant stone celestial. Even though there was a joke about it during She-Hulk, it came during the scene where she was browsing the internet, and within that scene, on her webpage, they had jokes about a bunch of different Marvel references. Even the Wolverine character, like Man with Metal Claws, gets in bar fight, like, they're referencing the very first Bryan Singer X-Men movie. Wolverine, we know now, Hugh Jackman is coming to the MCU, but in a very different kind of way.
How are you? You have questions.
Yes. I had a lot of questions. I'm sure you had a lot of questions, but rest assured, we're going to answer them right now. Like, for example, how is Wolverine alive after Logan?
Because of the way Deadpool 3 is invoking the TVA time travel to mess with the timeline, many timelines, destroy quote-unquote timelines, destroy the Fox Marvel universe, it is possible that reference could turn into a Deadpool 3 reference, but I don't know if they were making that when they wrote it that way. But on the page, you see a joke about a giant stone man that people are confused about. You have to imagine if they were trying to be more real world with this, like how would the world actually react to a giant stone celestial like that? There would be so many Instagram and social media influencers trying to get pics of themselves on that. It'd be crazy. Forget about all the people like Thunderbolt Ross and the world governments trying to get their hands on it to weaponize it. The reason why Dario Agger is typically thought of as a big villain is because he literally sold his soul to gain the powers of the mythical Minotaur from Greek mythology. He was born in Greece to rich parents. He spent most of his life on an island in the Aegean Sea. When he was 9, his parents were killed by pirates. He escaped, hid in a nearby cave, prayed for help, and when the pirates found him in front of a statue of a bull the next morning, his prayers were answered and he was transformed into the Minotaur. Here's where we get to our villain origin story though. Instead of using those brand new powers of the Minotaur to kill them, he actually kept the pirates alive and continued to torture them for the rest of their lives. Then using his new power and the wealth given to him through his parents, he just continued to grow up into like a version of Norman Osborn who was more concerned with natural resources. He became the CEO of Roxxon Energy, whereas someone like Norman Osborn is more of a scientist.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
But is the same type of personality as someone like Norman Osborn. It's the same type of vibe. Someone who is cold, calculating, very good at their job, very good at making money, but also wants to exploit the world. Marvel's already largely cast the earlier Marvel Phase 5 movies and either finished filming them or are almost completely done filming them. So I think they're trying to get Ben Affleck as Dario Agger for one of the later Marvel Phase 5 movies or early Marvel Phase 6. And based on what's happening at the end of Marvel Phase 5, they might want him for the Thunderbolts movie. The only reason why I say Thunderbolts and not something like Captain America 4, because that's a huge movie, is because they're already doing so much stuff in Captain America 4, and they have so many huge actors in that movie. They're introducing a new version of the Avengers team finally. They're introducing the Thunderbolts for the first time, Red Hulk, Thunderbolt Ross. They're also introducing the recast version of Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. And he's going to become the President of the United States in that movie. And it sounds like they're also using it to pay off part of the Bruce Banner Planet Hulk storyline with Scar that we saw at the end of the She-Hulk series. As far as him coming back as a version of his Daredevil from the multiverse in Avengers 6 Secret Wars, it's always possible. They did make lots of references to the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. If you don't remember, in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, Jon Favreau played a version of Foggy Nelson.
Listen to this. Eyewitnesses say that Quesada was singled out by the demonic vigilante known as the Daredevil.
I don't know why you read that trash.
I've been hearing stories about this guy for years. There's got to be something to it.
What, like the alligators in the sewers?
There are alligators in the sewers. Don't ride my ass about the alligators. I got a friend in sanitation, okay? He's seen them.
When they had the scene with Happy Hogan, Jon Favreau, in Charlie Cox Daredevil, they made a bunch of references to that other version of Daredevil. Jon Favreau said on the day, too, there's a lot of deleted scenes that they didn't include on the DVD and they haven't released anywhere, where they just continue to make jokes about that other version of Daredevil.
Happy. Stop sweating. How do you do that?
The other big Ben Affleck announcement you may have seen recently is because of all the DC stuff, Ben Affleck, Batman, James Gunn taking over DC, rebooting all the DC movies, and announcing what some of the first ones are going to be in a couple weeks. As part of all of James Gunn's announcements, he also said that he had just talked to Ben Affleck about coming back to direct a new DC movie, and he made it sound like it was a pretty done deal. They just hadn't found out which movie it was going to be. It's not going to be one of the new Batman movies because that's still going to be Robert Pattinson Batman. Matt Reeves is still directing all those movies. But the whole idea is that Kevin Feige doesn't really care about whether or not people go and do DC stuff. Like James Gunn literally went and did the Suicide Squad movie, then came back to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and the holiday special, and now he's going back again to become the Kevin Feige of DC.
We have a wonderful thing called the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special coming out. We have a wonderful thing called Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out in May. How will he have any time to work on DC until May, I don't know. But once he does have the time, I'll be very excited and first in line.
And Kevin Feige himself said that he's actually really excited. Like, I really want him to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 3 first. Like, he's got some work to do. But then after that, I'm really excited to see what he does at DC. So it's the same situation with people like Ben Affleck. Like, oh, it was so great that version of Batman that you played. Can't wait to see what kind of DC movies you direct. Why don't you also come be in one of our Marvel movies at the same time? Kevin Feige even said that it was actually cool for Josh Brolin to come back as Cable in live action after playing Thanos so much during the Infinity Saga movies. Chris Evans is a really great example of that. We might actually see a cameo from him as his version of Johnny Storm in Deadpool 3. But everyone, let me know in the comments, which Marvel movie would you want to see Ben Affleck show up in during Marvel Phase 5 or Marvel Phase 6? They didn't say if it was going to be a really big character or if it'd be like a one-off thing, kind of like Gore the God Butcher or Christian Bale. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. I'll try to do videos for it as fast as possible, so make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss anything. Click here for my brand new Loki Season 2 trailer video, and click here for that new Thor 5 video and learn what's going on with Hercules in the future of the MCU. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.